This is the new Subaru Forester Touring Edition with the all-new hybrid powertrain. Recently, we finished out another video with a set of all-terrain tires on this. You can watch that right here on YouTube. However, I thought before we switch this back to the original wheels and tires and handed it back to Subaru, let's keep this party going. So we're gonna run it through all the new trails here at our Peninsula Proving Grounds, and that's coming up right now on Driving Sports TV. This episode of Driving Sports TV is brought to you by Onyx Off-Road. Click the link below to save 20% off your new membership using the code DSTV. Welcome back to our Peninsula Proving Grounds. I just added several new trails here, and I was thinking it was a good time to try them out for the first time with this new Forester Hybrid. This is running a set of Falken Wild Peak AT4W tires, and I have them mounted to a set of 17x7 Steelies. The powertrain is a 2.5-liter boxer motor with electric motors integrated into the transmission for a total system output of 194 horsepower. Now, the Forester here actually has a lot of good things going for it in terms of trail readiness. It, of course, has 8.7 inches of ground clearance, which is one of the best in the class, only topped by the Wilderness models. You also, of course, have symmetrical all-wheel drive with the X-Mode system. This uses brake vectoring to shift power around the system to get you through challenging trails. And then, of course, you have a fairly short wheelbase, which helps with breakover. That said, the biggest Achilles heel on this particular vehicle is the approach angle, which is only 19 degrees. Most vehicles that are purpose designed for off-road typically have an approach angle of 32 degrees or better. So obviously 19 degrees, not great here. If you can't get your wheels onto the object because your nose is hitting, obviously that's going to end your trip very quickly. So now it is time to drive, and I'm actually going to start by explaining what am I standing on. Well, come November, this should actually be under about a foot of water. This is a natural kind of puddle, very, very large puddle. Historically, we've avoided it because it's muddy and it's dangerous if you don't have proper tires and equipment. And because we test regular cars, we typically don't have anything that can go through here. Well, this season, I have laid down a rock road down the middle of it. So hopefully, in theory, in a couple months, this will be an epic water crossing. Fingers crossed. I don't know how well this will work. For all I know, these rocks are just going to sink into the mud and the vehicle will go with it. So yeah, big old experiment. Over here we have, of course, a bunch of piles of dirt to play in. In the south part, we have a new trail with a large turnaround area. And then right over here, we have a fairly long and steep climb or drop, depending on which way you do it. And on the left side, that's actually a more extreme drop. That is a 30-degree drop down, which is for more extreme vehicles. This one doesn't have the clearance on the front to do that appropriately. However, I have tested it on my Tacoma and it works just fine. Now, and I do want to say, I have driven these trails as I built them to test them out. My test vehicle was my 2025 Toyota Tacoma TRD Off-Road. So obviously this is a very different vehicle, and I have no idea if it's going to get through the trails today. So let's hop in and get started. Okay, hope you don't mind a dirty vehicle, but literally we finished filming that other episode of the mountain test course last night, and I thought, hey, you know what? I have this car for one more day. Let's shoot one more episode with it. Mostly because, I mean, that video basically showed what this couldn't do. So now I kind of want to show what it can do, because I still think this is a very good option for a lot of people. Specifically, the MPGs with full-time all-wheel drive is pretty much unmatched. And it's a very comfortable car to drive. So let's go ahead and start with the new trail that we have on the south side of the property here. By the way, I have not named any of these trails yet. So if you have any ideas, post them in the comments below. Yeah, there is a large excavator sitting there. Somebody else owns it. They left it here. It doesn't work. It's pretty much parked here forever. So we'll see if it ever moves. So getting into the backwoods here is it's a little snug, and I did that on purpose. Got a stump there, which causes this quick bend in the road. Okay, no problem. Got through it. Already looking pretty good. So some of this, of course, is just a tour of the new layout because not all of it is challenge sections. Down here, we actually have a large kind of like parking or turnaround area. This gives me an option to film over here in the forest when it's a particularly rainy day. And obviously we've got enough room to turn around here. I can, of course, add a feature back there later if I want, but right now I'm pretty happy with that. So at this point, I could go straight, or I can come over here. And over here we have a couple different challenge sections. The one on my right is really difficult. It's loose, it has lots of humps, a lot of ditches, pretty much requires a locker of some sort. And then on the left, it's a very tight little thing with some very soft gravel over there. So I know you're not going to believe me if I tell you that the Forester can't get through this section. However, we're going to give it a try. And when that doesn't work, we'll continue on with the test. So I'm going to cut the corners a little bit because the ditch is very deep, and I know that my Tacoma even will bottom out on this. So let's try not to grind too much here. Yeah, that's soft. A lot of this is very soft. Okay, we're spinning wheels, so now I'm going to go ahead and kick into snow dirt mode. And I'm just going to keep the throttle in. It'll sort out traction. Huh. It's not sorting out traction very well. Did we bottom out? I think we did. I think we dug a hole. Yep, we dug a hole. Okay, well, let's find a rock. So this is one of the downsides of these traction systems, is that once you actually add all-terrain tires, because they rely on wheel spin to shift power, they can actually dig holes, which actually get you more stuck sometimes. There we go. Easing out. Well, that didn't work very well. That was a more challenging section than I thought it was. And we're probably going to run into a lot of that today. So let's try the bypass, which I've never driven on. This is pretty narrow. Okay, I'm gonna go wide. This is probably very soft here because this was a big ditch that I filled in. Oh, it's actually much softer than I thought it was. Okay, so I think we could probably say this. Is it auto brake? It's just a fern. Calm down. Need to remember, turn rear auto braking off while going off-road. It sees a fern or a leaf, it's like, panic! That's true of all of these vehicles. Okay, I wasn't sure if we could actually get through this section at all, and I'm seeing that it's actually quite complicated. I think we're gonna leave that one to more capable vehicles in the future. Okay, let's go ahead and exit via the easy route and work our way out. Camera on again. Okay, and then we're gonna go do some fun stuff. Oh, there we go. And now we continue on over to the original part of the course and see how much better this does with all-terrain tires. Okay, here is the climb, the ridge line. Let's see if it's any easier with all-terrain tires. So I'm in X mode type 1, which is snow dirt. I'm gonna start the climb up, keep a little momentum. Oh yeah, feeling that grip. So much better on the grip. Oh! Yes, I stopped because there's a break here and I didn't want to hit it too hard. Apparently should have kept the momentum going. This is very similar to the problem we had last time we tested, actually. Come on, you got this, you got this. Up and over. Okay, well, it throws a lot more gravel than it did before. Clean those windshield off. So it did still cut power, which is kind of the big issue with this powertrain. It does cut power pretty early, but it does ultimately get through, but you have to bump it. You have to carry a little momentum through. It's not going to deadlift as well as the standard powertrain. But that said, I think this is still more than enough for this category of car. I mean, I'm thinking about all the other vehicles in this class that I've compared, all the other hybrids. They're awful. I mean, they're just not designed for anything rugged. And I was kind of hoping that this Subaru might like level up its off-road capability, but it really hasn't. So even though you can just throw a set of all-terrain tires on this thing, I think maybe it's just not as well suited to rugged adventures as the standard setup. Now that said, I know people even off-road the hybrid RAV4, and that thing is actually worse than this. So people are going to do what they're going to do. Whoa, 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 whoa. Tip you there. Oop. Stuff the nose a little bit. 19-degree approach angle. Not great. Okay, carrying on. We're going to probably teeter-totter here. Teeter-totter. Yep, there we go. Come on, keep the throttle in. We're in X mode type 1, so you got to move us forward. Yep. Again, no problem. Now, one thing about putting all-terrain tires on a vehicle that uses brake vectoring is that it does dig holes quicker, because see all that wheel spinning? It's actually digging. This is where something with like an actual hard locker is better for off-road trails, is because it's not going to cause as much trail damage as anything that uses brake vectoring. Now let's see if it does sand slide any easier than the first time we did it. Still lifting the tire, of course. I mean, the traction control systems are actually quite good. I just wouldn't rate them excellent when it becomes, you know, a trickier trail. Okay, well, we got one more test to do. And this actually brings us back to one of the new parts of the course. And now we have a hill descent control section. Oh, it is slippery because it is freshly dug gravel. Let's see how this does. I'm just going to get over the brake, release the brake pedal, and it should ease me down at the approach speed. There we go. No foot on anything. Huh, not bad. It did it about 2-3 miles per hour, which is pretty common for this class of car. So now normally this would be the big finale where we go splashing through the water, but it's September, we haven't had any rain yet. So come November, December, this should be properly wet. So where does that leave us? Well, I think what we learned is that even throwing all-terrain tires onto a fairly capable crossover doesn't really make it an off-road rock star. Now, you do get improved grip, especially with these tires on snow because they are 3-peak rated. And of course, you also get much better grip on gravel. But this is a gravel road master. This isn't a vehicle for crawling. It just doesn't do as good of a job of shifting power around specifically to the back wheels. Now, Subaru does make a vehicle that does that better. It is, of course, their Wilderness line. New Forester Wilderness is only about a month away. We're going to be driving it very soon, and I expect that we'll be able to take it through way more sections of this course, even some of the more complicated areas, so stay tuned for that. As for this Forester hybrid, I still rather like it. I think it's great for dirt roads. It's great for gravel and snow. I'm assuming snow, I haven't done it yet, but you know, all the components are there. It's just not good for technical off-road trails. And I think that's actually okay. I think this meets the need of a lot of people. And I still think this is a better choice for people that occasionally run into a challenge section because it is ultimately more capable than the offerings from Kia, from Hyundai. They're getting better, but they're not quite at Subaru's level yet. And for people that were expecting more out of this, I know it would be nice, but I think that there are compromises made for economy. This is, of course, a hybrid, and I think ultimately the people who really spend the money on this vehicle are the ones who are going to do so because they want all-wheel drive with good economy, not because they're going to be crawling through complicated trails. That said, I do know you can actually get a rear locker for this thing from the aftermarket. I've never used it, but I do have somebody I know who has thrown one onto one of these, and apparently it works really well. So if you want to hit that aftermarket, yes, you could make this more capable, but my opinion is that if you need to start modifying key powertrain components, maybe you should get something else. For Driving Sports TV, I'm Ryan Douthit. Thanks for watching. I know this is a short episode, but I just kind of wanted to do a little thing with this before we had to hand it back to Subaru, and I'm kind of glad we did. It really reinforces, the level of capability of certain vehicles, and also the fact that throwing all-terrain tires on a vehicle does not instantly make it a rock star. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you again right here real soon.